Okay, welcome back to another scenario. This is what would happen if, like, every country in the world was just way more aggressive. Obviously, the world is, like, well, it's not peaceful, but it's, like, not as bad as, like, medieval times. But we're going to be looking at what would happen if countries suddenly just forgot that peace is a good thing and started going to war. So, obviously, first thing that happens is that all the major alliances are disbanded because they don't want them anymore. They want to expand. And the already aggressive areas are obviously just going to get even worse. And that's going to start right down here in the Middle East, because Iran wants to reform the Persian Empire, apparently. So they're going to go ahead and try and do that. So they simultaneously declare war on all three of these countries: Iraq, Syria, and Kuwait. However, we now see that to kind of stop them, in a way, Turkey and Azerbaijan are going to join in on this war, and they are going to declare war on Armenia, Jordan, Cyprus. We gotta add in North Cyprus because this is already Turkish controlled pretty much, as well as Lebanon. I don't know what to do with these guys. We'll just leave them. But still, it's not it, because now Saudi Arabia is, well, they hate Iran, so obviously they're going to want to, destroy them. Of course, they also declare war on these guys. So now we have this big three-front war. Obviously, the first front that's going to be over is, well, not front, but the first countries that fall are Bahrain and Qatar, because look at them. Cyprus is also kind of just demolished. Rest in peace to the dreams of the Cypriot Empire. And the same goes for Armenia. And up here we see that the yellow team countries, being Turkey and Azerbaijan, managed to push into northern Iran pretty well. And they also start a little offensive down here. We, of course, also have ISIS rebels popping up. I'm sure there's, like, other rebels too, but just to make this more, just to make this less confusing, we're just going to have ISIS. But yeah, they pop up here, and they start spreading like wildfire, because all these countries are in, total anarchy right now. Anyway, Iran does do a pretty good job of pushing into Iraq, so we're going to have to say rest in peace to the world's oldest border, I believe, if not one of them. And so yeah, Iraq just gets kind of pushed back very heavily. Turkey also makes a northern fight here and captures Lebanon. Eventually Syria capitulates. Now the ISIS rebels, who have a lot more supplies, are going to start moving down here and taking over Jordan, although they do get pushed out of Saudi Arabia. Iraq also capitulates, so we see some of it just kind of goes under Iraq, the control of Iran. Some of it goes under the control of Turkey. Some of it falls to ISIS, and the rest is occupied by Saudi Arabia. Speaking of them, they are doing a little naval offensive over here across the Persian Gulf. And so they've landed all across here, including this island. The UAE is probably making a lot of money from selling weapons to them. Up here, everyone agrees to just kind of get these guys out. So we see, it's a very straight line, we see that pretty quickly they just roll through the ISIS territory. So now that's one less group to worry about. Anyway, we see that Turkey and the rest of the blue team are actually going to make a peace agreement here. So Turkey and the blue guys are no longer at war. They're now just focusing in on Iran. And together, they aren't allies. Are they allies in real life, Turkey and Saudi Arabia? I don't know. But either way, they're just working together here, just to put a stop to Iran. So these guys push them out of northern Iraq, and the blue team comes in from the south. And then we just see a big offensive that gets started into Iran, Although I do believe there are some mountains here, so that definitely slows them down by a little bit. They do still have this naval invasion, so with that, they keep supplying this, and from there, the south just kind of starts to fall. And sooner rather than later, we see that just there's a slow push inwards. Eventually, they get cut in two, and from there, the country just kind of crumbles. So now, looking at this peace treaty, we are going to see a couple things happen. No, not that. So Saudi Arabia is going to be annexing both Bahrain and Qatar, and yeah, that's it. Am I going crazy, or is there a little bit of yellow? I think I'm just insane. Okay. Over here, we see that Turkey is going to get a nice chunk of land. They get all of Cyprus, as well as all of Syria and Lebanon, and a pretty nice chunk of Iraq. The less straight line borders, the better. And them and Azerbaijan are also going to split Armenia, so now there's no more weird exclave here. Well, I mean, it's still there, but it's just connected, so it's no longer an exclave. And yeah, that's it for them. I accidentally erased some of the Kuwait borders, so we're just going to say that they get annexed into Saudi Arabia. There's also still some stray little pixels, so let's just bam. There, that's better. As for Iran themselves, they are going to be losing land. First of all, Turkey is going to come in and take a nice chunk. Looking something like this. Azerbaijan is going to get a lot of this coastal, technically. I don't know if this would be considered coastal, but the Caspian Sea coast, all land. So they have all of that. And then finally, the rest of Iraq, maybe not the rest, but we'll say that Iraq is going to be split in two now because they're too weak to function on their own. But we see that some of them goes over to Iran, and some goes to Saudi Arabia. So now we have this Middle East looking interesting. How about we just remove this? Anyway, we're now going to look over to the Koreas, where obviously war is going to happen because they hate each other. And unfortunately for North Korea, South Korea has the ally of Japan. So, yeah. I mean, do we really even need to show this war? Like, it's over pretty quickly. Whoa. But it's over pretty quickly, and now there is only one Korea. Over here, Russia is going to decide that they want to bring back the Soviet Union. So, I'm assuming all these islands are layers. Once we fully color them in, we will see the first country they invade is actually one that wasn't even in the Soviet Union, but it's Mongolia, and it's Mongolia, so rest in peace. And then we can fill all this. Moving over to Central Asia, they're going to be invading the entire area because all of these countries were part of the Soviet Union, and while combined they still are decently strong. It's definitely not more than Russia. So Russia starts pushing in from like the part that's closest to Europe, meet the Caspian. I mean, they already met the Caspian, but you know what I mean. And then they go over to the Aral Sea, what remains of it, and circle some troops up here. And start another big push over from this side. However, a lot of European countries know that they will be next, so we actually see that the first ones to join against Russia are Turkey and Azerbaijan, with Georgia following, just because they don't want to get invaded by either of those countries, well, either of those sides. Next up we see Ukraine, Belarus, and the Baltic states, as well as Poland and Finland. So, over here we see that Kaliningrad gets taken pretty quickly. And now again, getting some World War II flashbacks. St. Petersburg is encircled. We have the Baltics from the south, coming in from the south, and Finland coming in from the north. And I mean, it's just like World War II. It's just going to be holding out here. Barely. Finland also takes over all of, I always forget what this is called, but all of that peninsula. I swear it's like Kola or something, but I don't actually know. And I'm just realizing, why is Belarus on their side? Yeah, Belarus would be on Russia's. That still doesn't really matter, because now they're just going to push into Belarus. So that goes pretty swell. Over here, though, Russia obviously has some troops already here. So they're just going to fully ramp up here and send even more in. And this is what they already have. But we're going to see the entire southern coast get captured. So now even start to move inland. Over here, there's the Caucasus Mountains, but there is some naval warfare in the Caspian, which is going very great for Russia, as they take control of the entire thing, other than what Iran controls. Speaking of Iran, they want some revenge, so they're going to join Russia's side. We also see that they're going to invade Afghanistan for some reason. So over here in the Stan countries, we're just missing Pakistan, we see that Iran and Russia working together do a pretty great job at just kind of pushing them out. We see, I believe Turkmenistan is the first country to go, followed by Afghanistan, actually, so rest in peace to the graveyard of empires. And then Tajikistan, and now the rest of these countries just slowly capitulate. And that is that. Russia manages to recapture St. Petersburg, however, Belarus falls, and they also start getting pushed out of Ukraine. They also take back this northern land. Down here, Turkey starts pushing right back into Iran, and they capture Tehran and isolate some of these, and by some, I mean there's a lot of troops here. Russian and Iranian, they're all gone now. And then cut off the Iraq area and make another naval invasion up here. And by now, the people of Iran are pretty unhappy that their government has been failing so many wars recently. So we're going to see that a rebellion takes place down here in the south, which pretty quickly consumes the entire southern area. And I don't know what's happening. And the entire country just falls over and dies. And these guys are peaceful with the blue team. Over here, Russia is pushed out of Ukraine, but Russia now has gone back pretty much all the territory around St. Petersburg. So now push out the Ukrainians from the country, and still nothing happens in the Caucasus because too many naval invasions. Turkey is mostly just supplying Ukraine. Russia is going to start an operation over here, pushing into Latvia and Estonia, and even Lithuania, so just the Baltic states. Latvia is the main target, and they fall pretty quickly, and that kind of isolates Estonia, so they're next to go. And then make across from I believe that's the Strait of Finland, something like that. Sea of Finland. I don't know, but I think it's the Sea of Finland. They go across that to capture Helsinki. And unfortunately for Finland, it is the summer currently, so by the time that this is going on, I mean. And with their entire southern area gone, it's just kind of that northern waste, well, not wasteland, but it's just like the cold forest now, so they don't stand much of a chance. And with that, it's not looking too great for these countries. Russia fully liberates Belarus, as well as Kaliningrad, while also knocking out Lithuania. They now start moving into Poland and from Ukraine on all sides. And Turkey and the Central Asian or Caucasus countries are now going to make the decision to actually leave the war. And that kind of just isolates these two. And there's not much that they can really do against Russia. Eventually, Warsaw is captured, and Poland is reduced to just this. We're going to be experiencing some flashbacks soon, as Germany is going to see this as the perfect opportunity to get some land. Remember, all alliances are gone, and countries are just really expansionist now, so I don't think it's too unlikely for Germany to want to expand here. And with that, we see that this war is over. However, Germany is not done, as they're now going to go after the Czech Republic and Austria, and even Liechtenstein, for some reason. And these countries do not stand much of a chance against Germany, who's like one of the strongest economies in the entire world. And so, they are done. So now we get to look at the peace treaty of this war. I will undo it this time instead of recoloring it white, if that matters to you. And, yeah, I don't know what to say here. But Germany is going to be getting some land out of this area. And just remember, there is that Iranian rebellion that'll be just maintaining its status as a country. And Russia still does have Mongolia for some reason. So. Oh. There we go. First of all, sorry Mongolia, but you still do not exist. I'm just going to erase Lake Baikal because I don't care. Moving down here, they're also going to be taking all of these Central Asian countries back. So goodbye, RLC. I mean, you're already pretty much gone anyway, so. We can have the green team from Wixo be here when they were a microstate, not how they are now, because I don't want that. That would be too much land. Afghanistan did get fully beat up, so we're going to have to account for that. Plus the Armenians did do a good job at helping beat up these countries, so they're going to have to get some land out of it as well. Basically just this entire region is going to get completely carved up. Bam. Boom, pow, chow. And so, once we fix this, the new border between Russia and Persia, that's what they're going to be called now, it's going to be situated right here. So that's pretty nice for the Persians. What's not nice for them is that they're going to lose even more land to Turkey and Azerbaijan. And, I mean, they really went kind of harsh this time, so Azerbaijan's going to be getting a nice chunk of the Caspian, so more of the land surrounding it. It kind of have become like Caspia, you could call them. Meanwhile, Turkey will be getting pretty much all of Iraq, as well as even maybe some extra land. But yeah, they're going to be like all the way like this. So now they have a coast on the Persian Gulf. Georgia did nothing, so nothing will happen to them. There is still some of Kazakhstan. all of its border at least. We gotta remove that. Moving over here, we're going to see that Russia is very harsh. Finland is one of the countries that gets off fairly easy, but even then, they're still going to be looking like this afterwards, so that's not great. They will be uniting with Belarus, of course, and also fully annexing the Baltic states and Ukraine. And Poland is once again getting partitioned between them and Germany, Russia and Germany, to be specific. Plus, Germany also needs their land from the Czech Republic and Austria and Liechtenstein. So if we just fill that in, their new border will be kind of familiar looking. And right there, I'm pretty sure Germany had Kaliningrad too, so, but they will not anymore, because now that is Russian populated. Russia will then invade Moldova, and we do not need to see that war. Rest in peace, Moldova. I think I'm gonna maybe make this a 2 or 3-parter. I feel like we have more potential with this. Kind of like an alternate future of the world, but just less of an important series. After What If History Restarted is done, I might do an alternate future of the world. I'm not sure. But anyway, we're sticking in Europe now, because Italy and France are going to war. The reason for this is that they both just want to be the more dominant country over here in this chunk of land. I mean, that was mostly just Italy, but like, yep. They both just want to be like more dominant over the other. And we're just going to say that France also invaded Andorra and Monaco, because, yeah. And we'll also say that Italy invaded San Marino. You know, if San Marino gets to be on this map, I don't see why Andorra doesn't, because wouldn't Andorra be bigger anyway? Like, San Marino's just its normal looking self, but Andorra's just a dot, or a circle, I mean, so like, why? And the Vatican's just not even on here. But regardless, war is going to break out. First thing that happens is a lot of naval battles down here, in which Italy is successful, taking out all of Corsica. France is a little bit more successful in the land area. They now kind of just take each other's land though, but France is doing slightly better. They also do get an ally in Switzerland. And with that, they encircle a lot of Italian troops up here, pushing them out. I can speak. But now Italy is going to make a naval landing up here. That was like the worst stutter I've ever done. Here. And now France is blocked from the Mediterranean, which is not good for their economy. And with that, we're going to see that their old rival of Britain is going to come back to try and capitalize off this. Britain is also going to invade Ireland, which goes about how you would expect. I mean, Ireland does actually put up a decent fight, but like, I mean, it's not going to last for that long. And with now a ton of landings being made across the English Channel, we can see that France is not doing too great, especially as Spain just entered this war. And even, you know, going around the Pyrenees, France is completely landlocked now. And they're pushed out of Italy, northern Italy. Switzerland joining a war was kind of unpredictable and weird, but like, I didn't want it to just be Switzerland stays here and does nothing, because I feel like it's kind of too generic. But they're very mountainous and hard to invade, so not much happens there. But France, once you get past its initial mountains here, it is very open, so there's not too much difficulty in invading it. and eventually capitulates, and Switzerland just sues for peace. And so, looking at this peace treaty, France is going to be getting hit very hard. Spain over here is going to be taking like up to here. All of Basque is definitely owned by them now, easily. Italy will be taking all this Mediterranean area, as well as Corsica, of course. They do also get a little bit of bordering land from Switzerland, but just not that much. For the rest of France, we see that Brittany and Normandy are both taken by the UK, and the rest of it is left like this. But now they are feeling very poor, but they're going to sell some land over to Germany, and Switzerland also unites with Germany because they're too weak now. We see that Germany comes all the way out here. I'm sure you can tell what's going to happen next. Them, and actually the Netherlands, are going to team up on the rest of the Benelux countries. Because, yes, I could have just said Belgium and Liechtenstein instead of the rest of the Benelux countries. But, I mean, obviously this war is over quick. Now Germany starts to take over Denmark, which is about the same as the Benelux, and also goes about the same as World War II did for the Danish. For the Denmarks, that's so true. But if we just uncolor all of this land, you can see that Germany pretty much just takes land that makes their border look nicer. So just pushing it out to like here. And then the Netherlands, I would say their border is also going to be looking nicer. And they are now like this. As for Denmark, Germany really is taking back like their pre-World War I borders. They go all the way up to here now, which is more than they had in World War I, but still. And Germany is looking very beefy, so now they're going to go after Slovenia with the help of Croatia. Once again, this is a war we don't really even have to show, because, I mean, what do you think is going to happen here? So Germany does manage to secure a coastline on the Adriatic, just a small one. Croatia does take a pretty nice chunk of land, but little old Hungary's not too happy with that. And it's really just using that as an excuse to invade, which it starts doing pretty well until Serbia then joins in, which now kind of starts pushing them back here, and they even start to have an invasion in their own country. Then Romania joins, and now things really aren't looking good. And Slovakia joins, so that's something. But Hungary is going to actually make a little call to all the other countries here, and it's going to get Bulgaria to join, and Kosovo to rebel. And it also gets Albania, and we'll say Montenegro joins the blue team, North Macedonia on the red, Greece on the blue. It's going to take a while, all the Aegean islands. Bosnia is technically on the blue, but there's also their rebels who are on the red, because, I mean, it's not the most stable of countries. Although, aren't these rebels more friendly with Serbia? It doesn't matter. Anyway. But most importantly, we're going to be seeing that the Ottoman Empire, that is their new name, is going to be joining in here for the side of Hungary. So with this, while Hungary still is getting pushed back severely, we now see that this sort of red bloc manages to do pretty great here in the south. Turkey / the Ottomans are also obviously the strongest country in this war, and they do have some naval battles with Greece, taking Athens and landing all across this coast. Romania is then landlocked, and their capital is taken. And then they just meet the mountains out here. But in that time, Moldavia falls over. This allows for Hungary to make a comeback, who takes out Slovakia, and now pushes down here, isolating this part of Romania and this part of Serbia. They take this back, and then the rest of this capitulates, and all of a sudden the red team has just won out here. So that's great. And now, looking at this peace treaty, Hungary is going to be sort of reforming that old empire. Looks so. But they're going to be reforming their former empire. I think it was an empire, I actually don't know. Those rebels are not going to be getting any representation, though, so they probably aren't too happy about that, but there's not a lot they can do. And yeah, Hungary basically just gets all of this. They don't take all of Transylvania, but just most of it. Including that weird, Hungarian pocket over here. As for the rest of Romania, it's kind of just like Moldavia and not even half, like a third of Transylvania. Because Wallachia is given over to Bulgaria. Turkey wanted more land, but since Bulgaria was on the same team as them, there wasn't that much they could do. Especially since Bulgaria really wanted a coast on the Aegean Sea. So Turkey does get this Greek peninsula, as well as all the Aegean islands. And maybe even just all of Greece. I think that would be reasonable. Well, yeah. Albania gets this. North Macedonia gets Macedonia. The new borders will now be looking like this. Not like that. And now the rest of Greece is given over to Turkey. As for these dudes up here, we're going to see that Montenegro is given over to Albania, and Kosovo is now officially recognized by Serbia and every country as well. And North Macedonia takes this little peninsula, or panhandle. So yeah, that was interesting. Anyway, Germany wants more land still, so they're going to go up here and try and invade Sweden. However, the rest of these European countries have kind of had enough with Germany, because, obviously, we remember what happened the last time Germany got this big. And so, pretty much all of Europe just decides to coalition them. We see Norway join on Sweden's side. We even see Finland join, so all the Nordic countries. We even throw in Iceland. The remnants of Denmark join. Benelux joins, even though they were even though they just cooperated with them to invade Belgium and Liechtenstein. They're still invading. Italy/Rome invades. Hungary invades. And honestly, that might be it. Maybe Britain. Also, I just realized I forgot to give Britain Ireland, so we'll have to do that in a second. Boom, not that one. Boom, 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 boom. There. And Germany is pretty powerful, one of the strongest economies in the world. Their economy has been doing great ever since they invaded all this land. Probably the second strongest behind just the US now, and actually third because China. But still, that's very impressive. But no longer, because now we have all the Nordic countries at once going down here. We have Britain, the Netherlands, and plus all the land that Britain invaded going in from this side, also meeting up with the Nordic invasion. We see that Italy will be going up here through the Alps, well, not through the Alps, but they go around the Alps. They also cut off their access to the Adriatic. We also see this Neo-Hungarian Empire start to move up here as Germany begins to crumble. You also see some Polish rebels start to rise up over in this area. Some more naval landings are made over here, and all of Poland is now encircled. And from there, it is just a slow push inwards towards the Alps, really. Berlin is captured. It kind of just left as like Bavaria at first, and then just the Alps. Now this isn't even what was, Germany before. This is like somewhere in Austria. Actually, this might have been slightly German. But either way, it's gone now. And now we can look at this peace treaty. So, first of all, Denmark will be getting all their land back and more. Pretty much just take like the entirety of Jutland. Benelux will also be looking a lot more like a Benelux empire. They move all the way down here. Kind of remind me of a certain brown team from Wixo. I mean, not fully yet, but they're slowly getting there. They just need like this. The UK just gets a lot of money, but no actual land. Same with Iceland and the Nordic countries. But over here, Italy is going to be getting all of the Alps. There's just a ton of land up here. Try to make this border look somewhat nice. That looks absolutely terrible. Hold on. Yeah, see, that's all you need to do. And then Hungary will also be getting a nice chunk of this. Of course, we're still not done yet, as there were those Polish rebels. So we now see that Poland reforms, obviously just missing a lot of their land. I think Warsaw might slightly still be in Russia, so that's slightly upsetting for them. And as for the rest of Germany, it gets split in two, just to be safe. And yeah, that was officially calling this part 1. I want to do more parts of this. It won't be a long series. I'm going to say 5 at the absolute most parts. But yeah, this is episode 1 of When the World Was Aggressive. So, goodbye.